Morning, everyone. I trust that you are well. We are the Wandering Jew on a Friday as we head towards the weekend. And it's this Shabbat in particular is called Shabbat Chazon, a Shabbat which is the Shabbat that always precedes Tisha B'Av, a time when we mourn over all the destructions, all the decimations of our people, of our nation over the course of the millennia. So, firstly, let us dedicate today's learning in memory of all of the yacht sites that fall today, as well as all of those that would be saying Kaddish during their year. We wish each and every one of them and their respective families long life and only simchas. Let me start with a story. Story is about Napoleon Bonaparte, friends. Napoleon Bonaparte was wandering through Europe on his conquest, and on one occasion he passed through an area where there were Jews, and he heard at night this wailing coming from a synagogue. So he sent his minister into the synagogue to find out why it was that there was this wailing taking place in the synagogue. And the minister came back with a puzzled look on his face, and he said to Napoleon Bonaparte, he said, the Jews are crying over the loss of their temple. So Napoleon Bonaparte was very puzzled himself. He said, well, when did they lose the temple? So the minister said, they lost it almost 2,000 years ago. Napoleon Bonaparte famously said, a nation that still mourns over their temple, which was lost and destroyed 2,000 years ago, that is a nation that we will build their temple eventually. And the question is obvious, or at least for me it is, and that is, friends, what is the connection? Why is it that, what did Napoleon see in our mourning that signaled to him that eventually we would rebuild our temple, that the Jewish people would not just survive, but eventually would once again thrive? I want to take you back and give you my own answer. Take it or leave it. And it comes from the Torah portion that we are all familiar with. You may recall that Joseph and his brothers, there was tremendous jealousy between them. Joseph's brothers decided that they were going to sell him, the Mechiras Yosef, and they sold him to the Midianites that sold him on, and eventually Joseph ended up in Egypt, and the story we're all familiar with. Now, what's interesting is what happened after that. So the brothers realized that they would have to explain to their father their absence of their brother Joseph. So what did they do? So they took an animal and they dipped it in, they slaughtered it, they dipped his coat in the blood, I think it was a sheep, and then they took the coat to their father and they said to their father, recognize the coat, recognize what happened to your son Joseph. And Yaakov said, an animal, a wild animal has surely devoured him, right? Because the coat was the only thing that remained of Joseph. But after that, what's telling? All the brothers, Yaakov's sons, gathered around with the daughters to be able to comfort, to try to comfort their father. And we're told that their father, Jacob, refused to be comforted. Why did Jacob refuse to be comforted? Joseph was gone. He'd been told that his son had been killed by an animal. There was proof. The multicolored coat that he had given his son was in his hands with the blood stains all over it. What more did he need? Why was he refusing, being obstinate, refusing day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year to be comforted, to receive the consolations of his family? Now we know that Joseph was still alive. And I think that perhaps not consciously, but deep in the subconscious of Jacob, he knew that Joseph was still alive. He felt it. Isaac knew prophetically that Joseph was alive, but perhaps deep, deep, deep down, Jacob also knew that his son had not died. When something is still alive, when something is still possible, then you never give up hope. You never write it off. Naturally, for anyone that's been through the bereavement process, you don't grieve for 2,000 years. In fact, there is a beginning, a middle, and an end to the grieving process, to the bereavement process. We have a week of Shiva. I've just come out of a Shiva house, 30 days, and then you have a year, and then you have the Yortzeit. But you don't have the whole of your life a grieving process. The grieving with the Jewish people is slightly different. It's not grieving over the past so much. It's grieving over the present. And from the grieving over what we do not have in our midst, that is what will build for the future. In other words, it's not just the temple that was lost 2,000 years ago. It's not just all the atrocities, the pogroms, the Tachvatat, the Holocaust, and all the other persecutions and crusades that we've suffered. But it's the fact that in our generation, we don't have the temple. And it's not even the temple, it's what the temple symbolizes and represents. The fact that there is peace, of appreciation between each and every member of our people. The fact that people are adhering to the lofty standards that are expected of us. That is what we are mourning, that we are not in the right situation, position, level in life where we would be worthy of the temple. And that is why we mourn even to this day. And that is what Napoleon realized about. The mourning was not just on the past, it was about the present. And if they recognize, and we recognized back then and even today, that there is something missing in our midst, things aren't the way they should be. We don't want to carry on this way for the rest of our lives. We want to make improvements. We want to make changes. We want to have better relationships. We want to be more sensitive, more considerate, more caring towards other people, not just in our own group, but amongst all the people of the world and amongst our family of Israel. We want to make sure that we pull up our socks and that we are better. We improve our davening, the way we speak to people, the way that we keep kosher, and so on and so forth. That is what the mourning is. It is a constructive, the tears are constructive. They are tears that we are building for the future. That is what even Napoleon Bonaparte recognized. So friends, our message and perhaps our challenge, this Tisha B'Av, which will fall Motzei Shabbat and Sunday, it's going to be a hot day. It's going to be a difficult day. Tisha B'Av's never an easy day, be it in Israel or certainly in northwest London. But perhaps we can challenge ourselves to watch something online relating to Tisha B'Av. We will have the Kinot online with explanations on Zoom on Sunday morning, or alternatively read something. But don't let the day go without marking it, without considering our past, our present, so that we can build a better future. Wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom. Wishing everyone, please God, that this time next year we will be together in a rebuilt Jerusalem, looking forward to learning with you there, and looking forward. In the meantime, we will not be having this program on Sunday morning, the same regular time. In the meantime, Shabbat